I am your girl, Kendra Moore, and it is time to rise and shine. On this podcast, we are talking about mindset, motivation, and money because you need all three in order to really be free financially. So, today, what I want to do is I want to talk about something that really impacts the Black and Brown community, and that is our finances, especially when it comes to how we are able or unable to cover major medical costs and the role that that plays when it comes to us being able to set ourselves free financially, and not just ourselves, but our generation, right? Our generation, our future generation, our kids, etc. So, you look at any statistics when it comes to health, especially when we look at chronic illnesses, you will oftentimes see that African Americans, especially, oftentimes followed closely behind by Hispanics, usually lead the way when it comes to certain chronic conditions, right? So if we think about conditions such as diabetes, heart disease, for example. These are the major ones that typically impact Black and Brown communities. And a lot of people don't think about it, but there are big costs that come along with these types of chronic illnesses, right? Other chronic illnesses that often impact are like heart attack, right? Because we know that the body is one. So if you have major diabetes, right, severe diabetes, then it is going to impact your eyesight. It may impact, your high blood sugar. Now you're talking about having, like your blood sugar levels impacting your heart and all kinds of things, right? So what oftentimes happens is that over time, major chronic illnesses end up um, end up resulting in a lot of money going out of pocket. And on top of that, you have could result in terminal illnesses. Now, I'm not just talking about diabetes here. I'm talking about diabetes, heart attack, stroke, right? On top of that, think about other conditions such as Alzheimer's, dementia, right? So these are all major diagnoses that can impact people's pockets financially. And in our community, where we oftentimes already rank low when it comes to the income that we have coming in, any major health diagnosis can result in a severe negative impact on our household, which then trickles down, right, to our kids, to our family members, and even can impacts our community, right? Because we don't have the money in order to keep the dollars into our community because it keeps going out for medical things. So what a lot of us do not realize is that there are tools, there are ways out there that can help prevent you from having a financial catastrophe should you end up having a critical illness, a terminal illness, and some other a chronic illness as well. So this actually, what a lot of people don't realize, is covered through life insurance. So yes, I said life insurance. So when people think about life insurance, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when it comes to when you use life insurance, right? Everyone thinks about it as, okay, when I die, this is, my family gets money, and that's what life insurance is for. Well, I'm here to tell you that there are new benefits, the newer life insurance policies. And I mean, just in recent years, they have now what's called living benefits. And this is something that can greatly impact the Black and Brown community. Because as I mentioned before, instead of having to come out of pocket and face these major financial catastrophes if you have a chronic terminal type of illness. You can actually leverage a life insurance policy. Okay. So for chronic, critical, and terminal illness. So these are riders that are in life insurance policies. Again, the newer life insurance policies typically have that. This is not the life insurance policy of your grandmother. Okay. So let me make that clear. So for the living benefits, what that is let's say you end up having a chronic, a terminal type of illness. Let's say you end up having something like hypertension, for example, diabetes, cancer. We know cancer is something. Hi, Miss Debbie. Good to see you. I know we know cancer is something that's huge in our community, right? Where are you getting the money to pay for cancer treatments? Okay, so sure, if you have healthcare, you can get some of that money from healthcare, but it is not going to cover the rest of those expenses. Your healthcare coverage is not going to 100% for the majority of us cover cancer treatment, right? Again, hypertension, stroke, heart attack, diabetes, any of these chronic or terminal types of illnesses. Sorry, I took down some notes because sometimes I get off track, as you guys know. So I want to try to stick to the point. So, we have these things, breast cancer, those are things that's on the rise as well. So imagine being diagnosed with breast cancer. I mean, how many of us know someone that has been diagnosed with cancer, has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, dementia, have had a heart attack, have had a stroke, even like blindness, right? A lot of times people who have severe diabetes have complications when it comes to vision that can result in blindness. So when we think about the conditions that we've seen our family and friends go through, how do they often pay for those things, right? Sure, if they're blessed enough to have health insurance will cover some of that treatment. But we know that the cost of healthcare is up. We know that for most of us, we have to pay our premium. We have to pay the deductible. There are co-pays you have to pay. There are prescription medicines that you have to pay. I mean, when you get into the really meat of the costs that come along with certain conditions, it's really expensive, right? And you are expected to make up for the half that your health insurance is not going to pay. So what is one to do? Well, did you know that life insurance policies, again, the newer life insurance policies have what you call living benefits. So with living benefits, what that allows you to do, it actually allows you to pull forward 90% of your death benefit in order to cover the costs. So again, imagine someone who has a $500,000 life insurance policy. They end up getting diagnosed with cancer. Now, upon the doctor submitting the paperwork that this man or woman has cancer, the insurance company will immediately cut a check for 90% of that death benefit. So that is what, $450,000 that immediately can go to that person. Now they have that money for treatment, for prescriptions, whatever the healthcare, their health insurance, if they have it, does not cover. But in addition, oftentimes when people have heart attack, stroke, cancer, complications related to diabetes, a myriad of other chronic or terminal types of illnesses, they cannot work, right? Because they're too busy doing the treatment. So now that income, and sure, maybe they can get short-term disability if they're with a job that has that, that benefit, but that's short-term. So it's not going to cover you for as long as you likely need it when you are out of work. So now someone who has a life insurance policy with living benefits, not only is that money able to help them with the medical costs, but now it also helps them to replace their income while they are going through this. And with some policies, they would even increase that amount even more. So that way, for like 5 years, some policies will actually double that amount. So, you can be sure you're not immediately in a financial bind. And it also gives you and your family time to plan out what happens next, right? So this is a really important financial tool, a financial strategy that, again, in the Black and Brown community, we are not often informed or educated that this is something that is even available to us, but it is available to us. It is definitely something that we need to have in order to protect ourselves financially. Sure. If we pass away, we want our family to get that death benefit, right? But we also, if we are unable to work, if we have really high medical costs that health insurance cannot cover because we have a chronic or terminal illness, we want to make sure that we have money to be able to cover that. So let me make sure that I covered all the points that I wrote. Okay, chronic, critical illness, terminal illness. So those things are covered. And there are many conditions underneath those things that are covered. So here's what I would like to challenge you guys to do. If you have a life insurance policy, you need to go look and see whether or not that includes living benefits, because medical costs are the number one cause of personal bankruptcy in the United States. It is a real thing. This isn't anything that I'm trying to scare tactic people into getting. It's a real thing. Medical costs are just so expensive. It really bankrupts families, right? And again, like I said at the top, in our community, in the Black and Brown community, where we already know that our chronic illnesses, the likelihood of us getting a chronic illness is a much higher than other races. So we need to be aware and play, a little bit of offense when it comes to this, instead of then getting into a bind and not having the finances. And now we got to rely on family members, which doesn't help them financially, right? We got to rely on the love of strangers, through GoFundMe accounts. So this feature in life insurance policies allows us financial protection, but even beyond that, it actually helps to strengthen our community as a whole, because we're not pulling, not that we're just not pulling from us, but we're not pulling from other people as well. And we are leveraging the insurance company, because that's what wealthy people do. They leverage, or people who are financially savvy do. They leverage resources that they can get from others. Okay, so bottom line, your homework is check out your life insurance policy if you have one. See if you have living benefits in that policy. If you would like for me to look at it, I am more than happy to. If you do not have life insurance with living benefits, or you don't have a life insurance policy at all, the ones that I have access to through multiple different companies, they have living benefits. Please contact me. I want to make sure that you and your family are protected, not just when you pass away, but in case something were to happen to you and you cannot work and you're faced with high medical bills, that we can just make a call to the insurance company, submit the paperwork, and get you, what you need to help cover your costs. All right. So you can also find more information on this on my website at more-life.com. And you can follow me as well on Instagram at Kendra More Life. Okay. So on my website, you can schedule an appointment with me. Happy to go through, talk through more of living benefits, what that is for you, with you, or drop me a comment, send me a DM. I am here. I am accessible. I am here to help you. All right. So again, do your homework, look at your existing life insurance policy, see if you have living benefit. If you do not have a policy, let's talk. Let me educate you a little bit more on living benefits. Let's protect ourselves, protect our family, and protect our finances. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time.